The foreclosure tsunami is on its way, and as I've promised last video, I'm going to tell you how it plays out. So welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Today is the 22nd of August. It's Monday. Hope everyone's doing well. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Why? Because we need it. All right. This video, as always, is brought to you by our friends at Foreclosure.com. So if you want to check out the distressed property listings in your neighborhood, your backyard, your neck of the woods, however I say it, you know what I mean? Go to gethousingdata.com. That's gethousingdata.com. That's my affiliate link. There's a 7-day free trial. You can sort of move around in there and check out what's actually happening. Take a look at the volume and the opportunities. This is what we've been preparing for all this time. So again, gethousingdata.com. Now, if you remember from the last video, we spoke about Fitch Ratings came in and said, hey, we're looking at 10 to 15% moderate, we'll call it correction in the housing industry based on what's happening right now. Some of those locations, like 10 to 15% were maybe across the board, national, kind of averaged out, basically saying 20 to 30% could be of property value declines could be in different locations across the country. Robert Schiller concurred, saying, yeah, he sees the same, if not greater. I thought that was an important comment to make. So we talked about that. But again, it's like, well, everything is great, and we're talking about today's marketplace with more inventory, less bidding wars. It's more I guess higher interest rates. So we're looking at sort of like this quasi correction. It's really based on today's situation. Home buyer sentiment, home builders having over 9 months worth of inventory and having high prices. So all these things are happening, but what about the foreclosures? How will they affect the market? And that's the interesting thing about what we're talking about today, is the fact that all this rhetoric and discussion over the past couple of weeks, which has been, I think, positive from a let's get prices back down to reality level. I don't think anybody should be complaining about that. That's positive news for most home buyers, I would certainly suggest. But the foreclosures aren't even on anyone's radar, aren't even discussed, never even sort of make it out, to the the interest level of mainstream media, because there's the reasons why, right? Hey, people will sell their homes. It's not a problem, not an issue. It's not a housing bubble. We don't have a housing crash. So all those people are basically saying it's not going to happen. We know it will, but again, with respect to what's happening, and as I said, I'm very happy that we've had a change in narrative for the most part. No one still talks about the foreclosures, and that's what's going to really change the market. So, this has actually started happening in 2020 and 2021, where we were having the COVID issues and people not paying their mortgage, and forbearance numbers were skyrocketing and all the problems were out there. So basically people were talking about this foreclosure tsunami, right? This tsunami, when's it going to come? How much is it going to, how much volume is it going to be? What's going on? So this was a discussion point for about a year or so. And then as sort of time went through the COVID pandemic and really the foreclosure and eviction moratorium, it became more of a quieted subject, to say the least. Well, it's kind of coming back now. What I mean by that is we're getting more and more, again, this is stuff for real estate agents. Become a certified distressed property expert. Okay, great. No, that's supposed to teach you how to do short sales. I see all sorts of stuff coming to my email about doing real estate owned and doing broker price opinions and getting into that game that happened back, over a decade ago. So really, this is kind of happening now. So the focus is, okay, this stuff is kind of coming, and you got to be ready for it. So how do all these foreclosures affect the housing market? So we're going to talk about what's going on, how many are there, and how it will play out in a couple different instances here. So what's going on is that, yes, it's coming, okay? We were bubbling, and we were seeing a huge amount of foreclosures kind of building prior to COVID, and then the foreclosure moratorium happened, and everything slowed down or was effectively cut off. All right. So the past couple of years, the real estate market has, gone up, exponentially, because there's been a short supply, and there hasn't been a supply of distressed properties coming back out to the market, i.e. the foreclosures, to, number one, add volume and to temper some of the prices. So it has been an artificially controlled market. I want to make sure people understand that. That's what's going on. Well, now, as of last year, no real moratoriums are available. Yeah, the odd county may have a moratorium out there on maybe rental or evictions, but pretty much for the foreclosure stuff, it's wide open. It's been that way for at least a year from the government perspective. July 31st from last year, and earlier January 1st from some states who had their own level of moratoria. So let's keep that in perspective. So what we've seen is that stuff going through, that was backlogged, kind of going through now, and that's what we're going to see. So we're seeing everything sort of resume where it was and picking up the pace and trying to get back into the swing of things. How many are out there? There's a potential to be huge, and that's a debated number, and it's difficult to quantify. I'll try in a second here. And how will it play out? As I said, how will it play out? Well, we'll talk about that right now. It's going to be a couple of waves coming through. So they are here now. So really, actually starting the previous fall, almost a year ago, we started to see a few more properties get set for foreclosure auctions, a couple getting filed here and there. Well, now we fast forward to almost a year from that point in time, kind of going into 2022, we started to see a surge of things, that were, canceled or in the foreclosure process now going and having their auction date set. So those are starting to move through the system. New ones that the lenders maybe were ready to file, but COVID came in. So again, why spend money on attorneys? Why go through foreclosure filing and the foreclosure process when really you can't get to the end game conclusion anyway, right? You can't do the sale. So ultimately, in the end, that wasn't a big issue. All right, but now new ones are getting filed, and there are many more coming on the way. Trust me, they're on the way. So really, we're seeing sort of, I guess you could say, we're seeing kind of a certain amount coming through right now. Now, with respect to the volume, I bring this up occasionally to show people that back, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, when there was an announcement with respect to the extension of, I think, the foreclosure moratorium and even like the forbearance timeframes. This slipped out through the White House, basically saying, 1 in 5 renters is behind on rent, and just over 10 million homeowners are behind on mortgage payments. All right, so that is the high watermark number as far as I'm concerned. I've heard anywhere from 3 million to over the 10 or 11 million foreclosures. So it's kind of like, your guess is as good as mine, everything in between. Maybe we're talking 7, 8 million, somewhere in the middle. But that's the potential. So, again, the White House, okay? And this didn't get picked up by media. This was not even talked about. I happened to catch this on, a whim, looking through some information. And I'm like, how come no one was talking about this 10 million? Because mainstream media narrative doesn't talk about bad things that affect the housing market, right? Kind of like, we don't talk about how bad it's going to crash because that's going to cause chaos. Well, now, we're warming up to it. Now we're not saying 40, 50%. We're saying 10, 15, maybe 20, 30. See, every time there's a discussion point, we sort of inch down a little bit more on the disclosure side. But they're talking 10 million here. So how is it going to play out? All right. Well, we're going to see 3 waves of foreclosures. So we're actually starting to work into the first wave now. The first wave really is what I'm going to call the backlog. All right. These are foreclosures that were either in process, had their auction canceled, getting ready to start prior to COVID. So they were pre-COVID. They're about 2019 and prior. So that anywhere from 2019. Because remember, COVID kind of came in. When did we? March of 2020 is when the moratorium was put forward. So really, not much happened in 2020 with all the fines and everything. They didn't really get going on that. So it's about, it's early 2020, 2019 and prior, past 3 or 4 years. And as I said, that was kind of bubbling up. We have a ton of legacy foreclosures. And what that means is, yes, these are foreclosures that are still kicking around from the previous housing crisis. Where we are down here in Florida, because of how the state works, etc., and I'll give you some history on this, there are a lot of people that have been in their homes since 2009, 2010, 12, 13, whatever, and they've been able to circumvent some of the court systems, sort of do some, maybe interesting responses, possibly get an attorney to help file or declare bankruptcy or do loan mods or any combination of all these things to keep themselves on these properties without paying their mortgage. I have literally talked to people on the phone that haven't paid since 2008 and are still in their property, and they still think that they're being hard done by. Okay, so this is where things are at. So what the lenders, banks, and servicers want to have happen is clean the backlog up. So this is what we're going to see. We're going to see pre-COVID sort of stuff that was filed. We're going to see all those, get restarted and go through the system. Some of these old things that were hanging around, they're going to get reset for auctions. And again, if you remember back in the last housing crisis, when we had the bailouts, okay, that's why we have a lot of these legacy deals here and why people were able to do that. Because if you had a mortgage from a small lender and then the housing crisis came, that lender declared bankruptcy and got wiped out. Well, your mortgage as an asset was maybe picked up by some bank or some institution, so it was assigned over, and it may have been assigned to somebody else, and there's a chain of assignment title, the whole bit. But in the end, part of the issue on foreclosures is that the lender, or sorry, the court system or the trustees are saying, well, prove to us that whoever's foreclosing actually has the right to foreclose, provide the documents, etc. So a lot of these homeowners that kind of got through the system, it's because of that. Some of these smaller lending companies or even some mid-sized banks just went under. So whoever took over the assignment of the note and the mortgage into servicing that, they didn't have the documents in place. So therefore, when they went through the foreclosure process, they couldn't actually complete it. Well, fast forward, there's a few laws in place, and it might be state by state, but what that basically means is that, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, you took the mortgage. We know that. Yeah, we had some issues. Well, now we're basically saying we're going to restart your foreclosure because ultimately in the end, you're living in the house. You got the deed to the house. There is, probably electronic copy of the mortgage and the note, but we don't have the physical copy. So you see, these things are changing. That's why we're seeing all these older things getting rescheduled. So yes, that's what's kind of happened. So that's the legacy stuff, and there's quite a bit in certain states, quite a bit of this legacy foreclosure volume. So it's really the pre-COVID legacy stuff that's going to hit us first. Okay. Now I can tell you what's going on because this is the intel that I talk to people about every day. So law firms are being contacted. What do I mean by that is the law firms in individual states that actually file these foreclosure filings against the homeowner. So the banks and lenders are contacting their law firms that they use, and they're saying, and I've heard this from a couple of people right now, and they're going, hey, are you guys staffed up? Well, what do you mean? Well, are you staffed up as far as attorneys, admin staff, clerks, paralegals, whatever? Reason being, because expectations of massive filings are starting, all right? Starting in September, all right? So again, I noticed that over the years, I've noticed that foreclosure filings kind of run in cycles. It's about 3 cycles a year where they really ebb and then they slow down, okay? So it's, or maybe I said that wrong, but there's the ebb and the flow, whatever is, you know what I mean? So it flows, then it ebbs, I guess. But the point being that there's a few cycles. So right now, towards the end of the summer, lenders are on vacation, people are on vacation, lawyers are on vacation, and in the summer, court people are on vacation, and then once September hits, we're all back to normal, and then pedal to the metal, they're going to start filing. So we're going to see a lot of that, okay? Commentary from these attorneys is that, we're at the tip of the iceberg on this stuff, okay? And again, this is the old legacy things, right? We're probably going to see about 3 to 5 years worth of this next kind of foreclosure tsunami waves in its entirety, housing crash, crisis, whatever. It's not going to be a one-year deal, one-hit wonder. This is going to go on kind of like the last housing crisis, right? Remember what happened? 2007, it kind of crapped out. 2008, official crash. Trough in 2011, 12, and kind of, recovery 12, 13, 14. So it was a 4, 5, 6, 7-year kind of swing. Expect the same thing. Commentary also is saying this could rival the last housing crisis because the lenders, the attorneys who are contacting, the lenders who are contacting the attorneys are saying, and again, could be one lender or one servicing company contacting one attorney. They're saying we're going to be sending you 200 to 300 a week, all right, to file. So just think about that: one lender to one attorney in one local region, etc. That's a small number, but then blow that up by a state, blow that up by 50 states. You can see where things are going here. So that's the deal, is that there's a ton of this stuff that's on its way. So this shouldn't be diminished from a opportunity perspective, but the one thing I always talk about, as you can tell, is that the fact that when we're talking about where the property values are going to go, it's all about inventory, interest rates, sellers, blah blah blah. No discussion on this that's coming, and this will affect the marketplace. Mark my words. All right. Hey, if you're not a subscriber to my channel and you appreciate the information I supply, if you could please smash that subscribe button, I really appreciate that. And if you are a subscriber or think you are, could you please verify, double check, hit the subscribe button again, and bell notifications. You know what I say, I'm always losing subscribers for mysterious reasons, so thank you very much. All right, so, what about the county courts? Okay, so this is what we've heard as well. So this goes to prove that there's preparation here. So, the county courts are getting concerned, right, because of what? The potential volume, okay? So last year, for example, the Florida Supreme Court issued an administrative order. All right, it was either last year or sometime the year before. It was during the COVID period. It was sent to all the judges that were in Florida. It's a Florida Supreme Court administrative order, and basically what they said was, "Hey, judge, go look at your caseload, get your cases moving, settle the cases you can, dismiss the cases you can. Don't be resetting motions or hearing your stuff just to waste time, whatever. Clear this stuff out." Okay, so why do you think that they told the judges all this? Well, they did that because, at least in Florida here, they anticipated a significant increase in eviction filings and foreclosure filings. So, and we're seeing that now. So we already know from the eviction perspective, that's a lot of stuff going on. I can look at those records every day, and I see tons of evictions happening all the time, especially once the moratorium was lifted. You wouldn't believe what was going on. And that's a backlog. So they knew they're going to get hit, and they didn't want to have additional backlog of normal cases, let alone all this new stuff. So they're concerned about the volume. They've already notified their judges. So that should be a warning sign to all. So when you have courts and attorneys and lenders basically behind the scenes going, "Hey guys, you better get prepping for this because we're going to come at you pretty hard," stuff's on the way. And it's going to make an impact, but we don't talk about it in the media, which don't worry about it. I mean, we talk about it here, and that's important, but I don't care whether it's talked about in the media or not. I just want to make my points. Oh, guess what? Zombie property count inches up again. Oh, all right, there you go. I'm not going to really get into this article today, but I just wanted to show you that every month now we're seeing what? Foreclosure starts increasing. And every quarter we're going to see stuff like this going, zombie stuff's up a little bit. Things are happening now, you see. So back from 2 years ago when there was zero, nothing, or like literally a handful, now we're changing, and now this is going to make a difference as time goes on. Again, remember what I said, a good 3 to 5 years of this happening here. So don't fret, it's all coming. Now, just as an example, obviously I'm, GetHouseData.com. I just pulled the data here. This is for Miami-Dade County, okay? Look what the pre-foreclosure says. It's that little checkbox there. 2,693 pre-foreclosures as per GetHousingData.com. Okay, you don't think there's any foreclosures going on? Well, there you go. Ooh, look, here's LA County. What do we show there? 4,126, okay? Oh, but you know what? There's no foreclosures out there. It's not an issue. 4,126, LA County. How about Cook County? Cook County, 9,110. 9,110 pre-foreclosures in Cook County. Okay, now and this I can tell you guys because I've done a lot of research and actual discussion of the people who are programming and are pulling these data, this type of data for this and other data. I guess you could say other data services. These are underrepresented numbers because a lot of times some of the pre-foreclosure stuff drops off because there's no activity. So, for example, if there was a pre-foreclosure in Miami-Dade that was filed in 2014 and it went on for a couple years and just kind of just stopped for whatever reason, that's going to get dropped off as a statistic, as a pay count in the data services group as a whole. I'm not saying these guys are wrong or have been issues, just saying that's the way it works. They go, well, we don't see any activity, so the assumption is maybe they did a loan mod, maybe it went away, it was dismissed, so they don't pick it up anymore and they drop it. So I can tell you that whenever you see these pre-foreclosure numbers, they are grossly underrepresented. And unfortunately, with the foreclosure data, we're never going to get a handle on it 100%. Just realize that. But the point being, underrepresented. Other point being, great opportunity. Okay, so again, 9,100 Cook County, and I know a gentleman who runs a very large real estate investment club up in the Chicagoland area, and he actually is involved in ownership and of a data company up there, and he's like, yeah, that's we're talking 30,000-40,000. That's what's really going on right now, and he expects almost to be 100,000 when it all breaks loose. So this is what's going on. This is what's coming. Be prepared for it. That is the point. So again, we're just talking first wave today. Next video, I'm going to talk about the second wave, how that's playing out. So first wave is what? It's the backlog, pre-COVID, legacy stuff. That's what we're going to be working on right now. So just again, going forward here, looking for real estate agents in Florida. I have mentioned, and really to join my firm. So I'd love to talk to real estate agents out there anywhere across the state of Florida. My need though is for people to join my firm. I don't really need to partner with anybody. If you're in a different brokerage, that's the way it goes. I'm looking to expand my footprint. So I'm looking for people who want to play in this game, work with the investor buyers I have, and all the pre-foreclosures we're going to be working on the whole bit. So that's, if you're interested in connecting with me, please do so. I do want to open up other metros, so I'll need partnerships out there. Looking for other investor buyers, looking for private lending partners for all the projects we're going to do. And I would like to talk to people about syndication, doing equity funds and stuff like that. So please reach out. As well, as I say, the short sale program is being retired, is virtually gone now. Limited time to get it. New foreclosure program replacement, be much broader based, so people who jump in now get all the benefits plus much more, and then the price is going up, so get in now, guys. All right, we're working on the new one right now. Any current member keeps what they got and just going to get extra for free. All right, so connect with me. That's how you do it. We'll talk about distressed housing, but I want you to realize that it's actually happening now, right? Now there's obvious discussion that the property values are going down. As the fall hits, we're going to see it change, and the foreclosures are coming, guys, right? Remember I said 3 waves? This was the first wave. Next video will be the second wave, and we'll go from there. So once again, thank you for the views, likes, comments. Please share the video with your family and friends. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We'll look forward to speaking with you in a couple of days. Thanks.